Hello, my name is Thomas. Welcome to British Culture. Albion never dies. This week there is no podcast, apart from this podcast, to explain that there is no podcast. And the reason for that is that I have been quite unwell. So last week I put out the podcast on my favourite James Bond locations, particularly exciting, reflecting on how lucky I've been to travel around and to have been travelling around recently. I mentioned that I'd been, I think, to Istanbul very, very recently. Travelled about Turkey and to see family and recorded that podcast, went to bed, and I think it was on the Tuesday that I woke up with quite the fever, but such fevers are fairly common, especially flying back from somewhere, so wasn't too concerned, just stayed in bed, sent a message to work, who were very, very, very understanding. Pretty bad fever, and my kind of team leader said, well, maybe I'll see you on Monday then, and I thought, no, it's probably just a 24-hour thing, don't worry about it. And actually, started to feel worse and worse throughout the night, and I didn't have a thermometer. So I did message him, as he's a neighbour, he lives not too far away, and said, do you have a thermometer? And he said, I don't know, but I've got Amazon Prime. If I order it right now, then it'll arrive tomorrow morning. And I was like, it's fine. For a couple of pounds, I'll order it myself. So I ordered a thermometer, fell asleep as best I could, and, the next day woke up still feeling very, very rough, and the thermometer was on its way, arrived in actually very good time, and I thought I'd better check the National Health Service website. Some time ago, maybe a year or two, I did the episode N is for NHS, which certainly got the most interesting messages. It's actually my most disliked video on YouTube. The dislike counter is hidden now. I think it's just about more liked than it is disliked, but it's obviously a controversial topic for many around the world, how we arrange our healthcare. My personal experience with the National Health Service has actually been very, very good. Then again, I haven't often needed it for very much. I've often gone along for routine appointments or to a bit of physiotherapy or things like that, so generally nothing time pressing. But I know that general practitioners are very, very busy. I know a few, and I don't know one who isn't busy. So I just checked the National Health Service website to look at kind of non-serious ailments, fevers, that kind of thing, and checked through, found what I had, and did the online questionnaire, which is kind of a sorting hat for how bad is it, and not too bad. So I went through all that, and I was quite surprised at the end. It said, please telephone 111. Which is our non-emergency hotline. So emergencies 999 for fire, police or ambulance, but non-emergencies is 111. So I dialed that up. Pretty good response rate. Some nice soothing classical music as you waited. Talked to their expert, and that was a 10-minute call, just a long series of yes or no questions, much like the website. And at the end he said, do you mind if I actually get one of our specialists to ring you back? So I don't mind. So I let them call me back. I had a specialist who actually had quite a long and intriguing call with me. I say lots and lots and lots of questions, most of which the answer was no. And I think the thermometer might have arrived by this point, so I might have given him a reading, which is fairly normal, just a bit below normal. But he said, do you know what, do you mind if one of our real experts call you? I don't think he used the phrase real experts. Do you mind if someone else calls you back? And if she doesn't come back to you within an hour, then we'll just send an ambulance. It's okay. You do what you think is best. You're the expert, so okay. Seemed a bit strange to me. Then a specialist, the third specialist, rang me up and said, basically just wanted to know where I lived and do I mind an ambulance turning up? I don't mind, you're the experts. And I said, should I just take myself down to the medical centre, because I don't live very far from my own doctor? And she's like, no, don't go to your doctor, because we need to do blood tests, we need to do this kind of thing. All kinds of tests she wanted me to do, and sure enough, within the mandatory 18 minutes, I had a ambulance outside my flat. So I potted out, and I had the three uniformed heroes coming along out of their ambulance, looking every inch the heroes they are, and they seemed a bit surprised that I was slowly pottering out, and yeah, they kind of took me in, and they took my temperature, which was the same as what I'd taken. They said, "Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just, it's below. It's kind of normal-ish range. It's below where it had been." Anyway, they took, I don't know, blood pressure, all sorts. They've got all the equipment there. No needles, but they seem to do every other kind of test, and we're just chatting through, and said, yes, sometimes one-on-one is super responsive, because they never want to take that call and, dismiss it, and then it's something serious later on. So they're very, 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 very responsive, and I was thinking maybe I'll just call the doctor next time. But anyway, they gave me a thorough check and said, it's okay, we'd rather come out for something that's, who knows what it is, so we'd rather check. But as I say, they spent some time with me. Otherwise, I'm fit and hale. The actual body is fine, but whatever fever has been, it's giving me a bit of a knock. So I just went back to bed and kind of passed out. And indeed, as my kind of team leader said, it has taken me a week. So today, Monday, was my first day back at work after all my travels. I feel I've taken far too much time off. I still remember how to do my job, which is lovely. I'd wondered if I'd forget, but nope, still got it, and nicely, for the time that I was off, most of the academics I'm dealing with were off as well. I work in academic publishing. As I say, the whole NHS system has been wonderful to my experience. It is, of course, free at point of use. I pay my taxes like everyone else, but I didn't pay for ambulance to come out or anything like that, and I didn't pay for the phone calls. So that is one perhaps unusual, much loved feature of it. But otherwise, I say my experience has been wholeheartedly positive, and then I've just been doing the standard bed rest. Lemsip and Beecham's, whatever your brand of choice. Many brands are available, but I've just been taking all of that and pondering what my upcoming podcast episodes could be. So I think the last couple, my favourite Bond locations, was one that was by special request. The one on ancient Britons was also a listener request. So the last two have been by listener requests, and of course you can contact me at Fleming Never Dies, or I think John Orty suggested Ambulance Never Dies. And of course you can email me at albionneverdies@gmail.com. I'm very open to topics, but I'm pretty sure the next one's going to be Shakespeare. I realise I've been doing this an awful long time and not done a special episode on Shakespeare. People seem to like my discussion of James Bond locations, so I thought I'd give a talk about my own personal encounters with Shakespeare, the plays, the movies, the TV adaptations, the radio adaptations, and what I've enjoyed, what I'd recommend, and perhaps what I wouldn't recommend. Shakespeare's a megalith of British culture, and I found it fascinating that in some cultures, so for example in China, I was there for 6 years, Bond isn't really a thing out there, right? So, in the West, it's like, 60s, cool and all that, but obviously it wasn't released in the 60s in China. That was their cultural revolution. It was only rarely released in the 90s, limited releases, and what you consider, official, unofficial releases. Obviously Hong Kong's a different story, but on the mainland it's doesn't quite have its cultural purchase. And indeed, if you search #007 on Baidu, the Chinese search engine, Mission Impossible and a whole bunch of other spy films come up. It's a very generic tag, so lots of people would say the best 007 is not James Bond, but Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise. So it's not really a big thing. And many other kind of big institution kind of films, like Star Wars, isn't really a thing. They confuse it with Marvel superheroes and so on, and DC superheroes. But Shakespeare's solid. Most educated Chinese people I know have a very, very solid idea of Shakespeare, which I find really, really interesting. Shakespeare's kind of penetrated culturally, so it really has gone all around the world, which is so interesting for something that many people find quite difficult to access in terms of the language. I mean, there's a few famous quotes dotted throughout Shakespeare, but much of the language many people find difficult to decipher. So interesting how it has spread all around the world. So I thought I'd do that next, but if you do have a topic that you would like me to cover, then please do just send me a message, the places, and I shall add it to my list. Particularly, U, which is where I stopped with the Alphabet of Britishness. I stopped with U, and I did United Kingdom. I don't think I can do a whole podcast on umbrella, so let me know, do you have any U's that are left, or shall I just head straight into the V's? In which case, yes, it's probably going to have to be Victoria. Anyway, let me know what you think. So really enjoy it. And whatever you do, don't get sick. Don't get sick. Thank you. Goodbye.